Chapter 11 Oliver Asks for More.
Agnes Oliver's mother died soon after she gives birth to her child in a workhouse. Workhouse was a place where the poor were fed and housed in exchange for the work they did. The poor people were very badly treated in these workhouses. In this episode, Oliver, who like other children at
The members of the parish board were very sage, deep, philosophical men. And when they came to turn their attention to the workhouse, they found out at once what ordinary folks would never have discovered: the poor people liked it. It was a regular place of public entertainment for the poorer classes, a tavern where there was nothing to pay, a public breakfast, dinner, tea, and supper all the year round, a brick-and-mortar Elysium, where it was all play and no work,
"Oh-ho,
said the board, looking very knowing.
we are the fellows to set this to rights. We'll stop it all in no time." So, they established the rule that all poor people should have the alternative, for they would compel nobody, not they, of being starved by a gradual process in the house, or by a quick one out of it. With this view, they contracted with the waterworks to lay on an unlimited supply of water, and with the corn factor to supply periodically small quantities of oatmeal, and issued 3 meals of thin gruel a day, with an onion twice a week, half a roll on Sundays. They made a great many otherwise and humane regulations, which is not necessary to repeat.
The room in which the boys were fed was a large stone hall, with a copper at one end, out of which the master, dressed in an apron for the purpose, and assisted by 1 or 2 women, ladled the gruel at meal times. Of this festive composition, each boy had 1 porringer, and no more except on occasions of great public rejoicing, when he had 2 ounces and a quarter of bread besides. The bowls never wanted washing. The boys polished them with their spoons till they shone again. And when they had performed this operation, which never took very long, the spoons being nearly as large as the bowls, they would sit staring at the copper with such eager eyes as if they could have devoured the very bricks of which it was composed, employing themselves meanwhile in sucking their fingers most assiduously, which the view of catching up any stray splashes of gruel that might have been cast thereon. Boys have generally excellent appetites. Oliver Twist and his companions suffered the tortures of slow starvation of 3 months. At last they got so voracious and wild with hunger that one boy, who was tall for his age and hadn't been used to that sort of thing, for his father had kept a small cook shop, hinted darkly to his companions that unless he had another basin of gruel per dime, he was afraid he might happen to eat the boy who slept next to him, who happened to be a weakly youth of tender age. He had a wild, hungry eye, and they implicitly believed him. A council was held. Lots were cast who should walk up to the master after supper that evening, ask for more, and it fell to Oliver Twist. The evening arrived. The boys took their places. The master, in his cook's uniform, stationed himself at the copper. His pauper assistants ranged themselves behind him. The gruel was served out, and a long grace was said over the short commons. The gruel disappeared. The boys whispered to each other and winked at Oliver, while his next neighbors nudged him. Child as he was desperate with hunger and reckless with misery. He rose from the table and, advancing to the master, basin and spoon in hand, said, somewhat alarmed at his own temerity,
"Please, sir, I want some more."
The master was a fat, healthy man, but he turned very pale. He gazed in stupefied astonishment on the small rebel for some seconds, and then clung for support to the copper. The assistants were paralyzed with wonder, the boys with fear.
Please, sir,
Replied Oliver,
I want some more.
said
What?
the master at length in a faint voice. The master aimed a blow at Oliver's head with the ladle, pinioned in his arms, and shrieked aloud for the beadle. The board was sitting in solemn conclave, when Mr. Bumble, the beadle, rushed into the room in great excitement, and addressing the gentleman in the high chair, said,
Mr. Limbkins, I beg your pardon, sir. Oliver Twist has asked for more.
There was a general start. Horror was depicted on everyone's countenance.
For more?
Said Mr. Limbkins.
Compose yourself, Bumble, and answer me distinctly. Do I understand that he asked for more after he had eaten the supper allotted by the dietary? He did, sir.
Replied Bumble.
That boy will be hung.
Said the gentleman in white waistcoat.
I know that boy will be hung.
Nobody controverted the prophetic gentleman's opinion. An animated discussion took place. Oliver was ordered into instant confinement, and a bill was next morning pasted on the outside of the gate, offering a reward of £5 to anybody who would take Olive Twist off the hands of the parish. In other words, £5 and Oliver Twist were offered to any man or woman who wanted an apprentice to any trade, business, or calling.
I never was more convinced of anything in my life.
Said the gentleman in the white waistcoat as he nodded